Identify the purpose and the use of that information. Number 2, clarify the program design to make sure that you can get that information out of that in a program. Make very sure what is the outcomes that you expect. Then you've got to make sure, is it quantitative data? Is it qualitative data? Is it behavioral data? What kind of data am I going to require? Because that's going to determine how you get that information. You've got to plan for data management. So once the report ends up in your inbox, now what's going to happen? What are you going to do with it? And then, how are we going to analyze this data? So you've got to also guide from a management perspective your practitioners to say, this is what we expect. We want to check budget. We want to check finances. We want to test in monitoring this. So every month, after you get your monitoring reports, I want to know 3 things. What are the risks? What are the challenges? And what is the good news? So that you build into your monitoring template, once it lands into your box, I just want on a management report 3 things. What worked, what didn't work, what are my risks? What are you going to do to fix it? We don't want to know the whole thing. There was 200 people there and only 50 pitched and the other went to surf the waves and they didn't come to the class, and then I'm just saying be very realistic, not only for what you want to know, but what are you going to do with the information? Because I ask practitioners, do you read it? Yeah. And then? No, then I'll speak to them and then just double check. Why are you asking then for the information? So from that kind of thing, think about how you're going to use the data, how you're going to report on the data that you've received. And then also develop, I really want to encourage you, not because I want to give you more work, but I just want to say to you what I find work best is standardization. Make all monitoring templates look the same. Make all evaluation reports look the same. Here's the value of it. Let me tell you, the NGOs are going to use that and they're going to use it again for other funders. If you don't do it, then probably another funder has given them a template and they're going to give you that information because you didn't tell them what you want. So you're going to sit with other irrelevant information that speaks to Old Mutual or Nedbank but not to your needs because you're measuring different effectiveness, different indicators. So standardize from that perspective. So speaking to what do you want to know? And I think because different people want to know different things, let's recognize that. So Charlene is the CEO of the MMI Foundation. She wants to know overall, what are her risks? She doesn't want to know that the teachers got drunk on Saturday afternoon. Quite honestly, she can't deal with that. But she needs an overview. So you've got to determine, firstly, from a management perspective, what is the kind of information we know? You want to know that she got 500 applications because it gives you an indication on productivity. That's the kind of information you know. So then you want to know, okay, you've got 500. How many letters did you how many proposals did you reject? How many is now in a pipeline of being accessed? Because it gives you an idea of what she's doing. But that's not the only thing she does. In the meantime, apart from the 500 requests that's going to come in, the first monitoring reports are going to come in. So can you see, you've got to determine at what level you want to know what. So when you build your system, you've actually got to, before you start, organizational-wide, what do we want to know? Portfolio, what do we want to know? Project, do we want to know? And what is the learning? What is the knowledge being generated for all of us? So it starts at an organizational level, then it starts at a portfolio level. You don't want 7 reports from her because then she can't have a weekend, she's got to write 7 reports. If she's the portfolio manager for education, that's what you want to know. You're going to get another report from the enterprise development manager. But you've got to be very clear in giving them structure on a portfolio level because they've got to assimilate from the bottom up from program level to give you a portfolio over level. So you've got to really think about, what do we want to know? Who wants to know that? What are they going to do with the data? Before we even give a template to the NGO. That's the outcome of a process. So you've got to be very clear, because here's what's going to be the whole thing. At the end of the day, I've asked you yesterday, how many of you have been audited? This is where the evidence is going to start. The documentation trail, where you've got to start looking at, how do we house all this information? So performance information management actually happens on 2 levels. There's the internal organizational kind of information. What do we want to know? What do we want to report to the Social and Ethics Committee? That's the level that you need information. So the number applications, do you want it in totality? Do you want it the number approved, declined, the reasons, how many calls she's made, how many site visits she's done, has she updated the social media website, what has she done? Do you want to know the number of investments? Do you want to know in totality how we're tracking budget against projected budget, actual budget, how much of the budget is left? Per portfolio, per program, per region? Do you want to know how much money we spent in the Free State versus the Northern Cape? Do you want to know, like, are the people still happy with us? Where are their problems? Because that's kind of hidden information. You want to know that she's got a problem, that she's going to take a leave of absence, which means all the projects in her portfolio is going to come to a standstill. What are you looking for? Did she do some marketing? Did she issue a press release? Did she take the pictures in Bloemfontein? We want to know the kind of thing of what went wrong, where are there risks, because that's what the Social and Ethics Committee is worried about. Is there any PR that's been generated? And then, of course, do we need the 200,000 rand now? Because we forgot about the transport, where are we going to get that money? So the point that I want to make is performance management is both internally, from the jobs we do, as well as externally, where we deal with our partner information, our project information. So here we typically kind of be very clear about what information you want from whom, in what format, and what do you need to know. Do you really want to know the teachers were there, or they weren't there, or do you want to know what worked or didn't work? Do you want to know the risks or the opportunity? So for me, performance management is really both a process and a product, an outcome. So here, remember the kind of different data streams that we're going to look at. The outcomes management is those monitoring reports, which is raw data. Then there's going to be evaluation information, which tells us about the performance of a specific program. And then there's going to be knowledge generated that's got to go into reporting, communication kind of pieces. So we sit with raw data, we sit with some form of knowledge-based data, which we have to turn into intelligence in order to tell a narrative, a story, to communicate.